Greetings, greetings, welcome. We are here for the Hustle AMA. Good afternoon to those of you who are joining us live. It's a wonderful day here in Rome, New York in the Innovari Advancement Center. We're going to focus today on Hustle and the Hustle experience. You're going to hear from some of our previous cohort participants about what the program is all about. Hustle, if you'll recall, helping upstate science and technology leaders and entrepreneurs, is an immersive accelerator program hosted by the Griffiths Institute here in Rome at the Innovari Center, where we focus a lot on early stage defense technologies and their dual use potential. Hustle is very immersive. You'll hear some stories about the experience, but it brings entrepreneurs here onto the campus so they can really meet with other scientists and engineers and fellow entrepreneurs and innovators. And they're in for about 3 days a week of processed curriculum modules. And then we have also a series of one-on-ones, other guest lecturers, speakers, and events that we take the teams out to throughout town and the region. But those one-on-ones allow us the time to meet with each team and tailor a little bit of what they need, answer specific questions, start to build business models and guidance that is tailored to them. We work on more than just the curricula, which is important that they get a grounding and an understanding of the multiple facets of innovation and entrepreneurship with our defense spin. And that's why we combine the curriculum and the one-on-ones the way that we do. And unlike other accelerators that you might see, some of the big household names like Techstars, Hustle is intentionally niche. We really focus on pre-seed and seed stage defense technologies, specifically with how to work with the government. A lot of our modules in our curriculum is understanding that path to market as much as it is about finishing or perfecting any technological aspect of their business. The curriculum is built around modern theories like the business model canvas, and we have a special set of technologies that we are most suited to help companies with because of our special relationship with AFRL-RI. That Air Force Research Laboratory has specialties in artificial intelligence and machine learning, cyber, quantum information, and uncrewed autonomous systems. Now, those are wide categories, and you may say, well, geez, I'm not necessarily a drone company. Autonomy and autonomous systems proliferates a lot of technologies. And we take a wide interpretation, and with things like AI and machine learning, we want to make sure you're a fit for Hustle. So don't self-disqualify. Submit a question. We'll help you understand the application and your fit. We are particularly interested in spin in and spin out. There are some stories of examples of licensure and early procurement, but spin in and spin out are terms around what's invented from the Defense Department and all their creative, novel approaches to science and product development and leap ahead technologies. They often create intellectual property, and that's where they can release it and disclose it in patents that could be licensed by companies. But also, some things they just can't, right? They're for government use or they're sort of secret to our nation's defense. When you join in Hustle, you get a chance to understand those roadmaps and their priorities, and whether it's public and it's patentable and you can license it, we'll help you with that, or whether it's just sort of getting an understanding of their desires and their roadmaps, that's also a benefit of the program. One thing that we want you to remember is that we can be your conduit to AFRL. That's RI, the Rome lab. I point that way because it's just 1,000 feet beyond our front door. But of course, AFRL, the Air Force Research Laboratory, is a large network, as well as the Air Force and the Department of Defense and the federal government, right? We like to help you experience all sorts of levels, but our strictest connections and our abilities to make your technology accelerate are with the technology groups here at RI. We also expose you to a network of other business entrepreneurs and leaders. Some of them are more classic theories from business schools. Some are more experiential, and you'll hear stories from leaders in and around the upstate region and as they tell you their stories. We also partner with government agencies, academic institutions, and other regional industries so that you have a fruitful experience when you're here in Hustle. I've said enough. That's a lot for you to digest. We're here to talk about the experience, so let's get into our panel discussions. I'm going to give you quick introductions to each of you. Thanks for being here. It's good to see you all again. And I think first I have Herbert Dwyer, CEO of MPEC. Herb, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit about your company, please?
Sure. Thanks, Seth, for having me here today. Herbert Dwyer, CEO and co-founder of MPEC, and we operate in the hardware supply chain security industry, where we've created an end-to-end platform that enables the men and women that operate within critical infrastructure to do their jobs 50 to 80% faster than anything they're doing today. Right? Critical infrastructure is, we really define as buildings and even military equipment.
Excellent. Thanks for that intro.
Thank you.
Next up, Kaylin Patterson, CEO of Patterson Aerospace Systems. Hi, Kaylin. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing fine. Thank
Great.
you for the intro.
Welcome.
So, Kaylin Patterson, founder and CEO of Patterson Aerospace Systems. We are a space technology development company currently focused on space debris and space domain awareness. Yeah, I'll pass it on.
Thanks so much. That's great. We have Greg Bush next, CTO of Accessible Automation. Greg, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Hi, I'm Greg Bush. I'm local from Central New York, and our company, Accessible Automation, is developing a long-range communication system that's robust, that lasts, and communicates long distances.
Very cool. Thanks for that insights. Last panelist, Abhi Chopra, CEO of Boson QSci. Welcome.
You, Thank you. Myself, Abhishek Chopra, founder and CEO of Boson QSci. We are an advanced simulation platform company which is bringing the concept of SOT, or simulation of things, by bringing quantum algorithms which can run on today's systems and can also run on industrial scale quantum computers once they are ready. We are focused in the aerospace defense industry, so having this experience is really pushing us into the right direction with the target customers. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. As you can see, we have a great set of perspectives and technological approaches. What's going to happen about this experience discovery is we're going to ask some questions. We have a couple of queued up. We also are taking questions on any of our live streams. If you have a chance to submit one, we'd be welcome to try and squeeze that in. If we don't get it here in our stream, there's the Hustle website where you can ask things, see our FAQs, and also submit additional inquiries. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to start with each of you. We'll kind of go left to right in my direction here, and we'll just kind of, ask you quickly, what do you guys think was the greatest reward of Hustle? Now, for some of you, that's a check, right, and some cash investment, but thinking about the experience, what was the greatest reward? Herb?
Yeah, Seth. So we did get first place, so the check did matter. So that's not to be, I guess, downplayed, because it matters, and it was a pretty sizable check. And thank you for that. But I think the greatest reward is really the acceleration and training into the government. While we were here, we were awarded a direct to phase 2 SBIR contract, which, I mean, between that and our experience here at Hustle, I mean, it really greatly excelled us into government contracting. And I think by far and large that is the most important part about Hustle is we were very, very new to government contracting. And by the time we graduated, we felt very comfortable how the ecosystem operated and what we needed to do in order to be successful quicker. And as a startup, we only have so much resources, and to move faster within the government space really matters.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, government markets can be challenging. Any market as a startup can be challenging. And I'm glad to hear that part of it is the acceleration, the quickness to understanding that business capability.
Absolutely.
Again, I'll just give it each of you a chance. Herbert covered a lot of things. What about any other most rewarding experiences?
I'll jump in. I think the community here is one of the most valuable things to me. We're a much earlier stage startup than Herb, but we're proud to be tied for second place.
No competition here. No.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I think the best thing about Hustle was getting involved in this community. The network of the organizations that are local, besides the Air Force, the other local companies, as well as the other Hustle companies that we were working alongside. We still look out for each other. I could definitely say that. And I think, me being not from here and now moving my company to the area, I've had a lot of support from all of these folks. So yeah, community is definitely, for me, the biggest asset that I've gained from this program.
All right. Other facets of a rewarding experience?
Yeah. So just jumping in there, I think so one of the things that we wanted to come for is establishing and having that credibility to be able to sell to the defense sector. I think so, especially given the technology focus of quantum computing, definitely being one of the winners helps in that way to talk to folks and having a bit of credibility, but also, as mentioned before, that community is very important, because post hustle we can learn from each other's experience. And I think so the team here, Dan, John, yourself, and others who have helped us to understand the 3 letters, the 4 letter and 5 letter like acronyms was very critical, because the closest we have come to is my co-founder who used to work at Air Force Base, but we never thought that it so early in our company's lifetime we will be able to talk about things like CREDA that we were able to sign, and through that how to work towards something is an ongoing process. But I think so without hustle we wouldn't have had that experience, or had even the opportunity to be a dual use company. We would have stayed more of a commercial company without that.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, it is in our DNA as Hustle and the Griffiths Institute and our work with the Air Force Research Labs to demystify and make it a more attractive play for you to enter the defense sector. So thanks for raising that, and appreciate that. Greg, I'll give you a chance. Anything you want to add? It's okay. We have others that we have teed up for you if you'd like.
So I don't just get to sit here, huh?
Yeah, right, yeah.
I'd say look pretty, but I try not to lie. Anyway.
Carry on.
It's kind of interesting because I've been developing products for other companies for decades. And so trying to do it on my own, I really didn't want to. Because running a business is a challenge. And there's so much that goes on. And so much I didn't want to be bothered with it. But I got talked into doing this. And I'm grateful I was talked into doing this. And not only have we launched our company, but we've also been invited to be a sub on a level 2 SIBR. So we're starting that in April.
That's awesome.
So none of this would have gone on without hustle.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And it's also, all of us were winners in our different categories. Yeah. So it's kind of exciting that we still show up, we still communicate regularly together.
Yeah.
And it's not just, it was friendly competition.
Yeah. Co-opetition, we like to say. Yes.
Yeah. And it really, especially, I was pre-seed, so was one other company, Mehdi from Drone City. I'll plug him even though he's not here. We were helping one another out right up until the day of presentations. So, and this guy here even helped me because I was focused on one little thing, one application. And it was through this program that opened up my mind. And then all of a sudden, by looking past where I had my paradigm, I'm getting invited to do things with the government all over the place.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, the idea of application to platform. That's pretty awesome. And you hit on some great things. Thanks for sort of raising it organically. Hustle is built for tracks, for different stage. We really do mean pre-seed, where you might not even yet be incorporated, all the way up through more mature startups that have had some revenue, have had some success, have 5, 10 employees, right? So the dynamic approach to our application pool, and then how we have a 12-week versus an 8-week session, really does mean that you can be dragged into the program, even reluctantly perhaps, and see a lot of success because we tailor the program to where you're at maturity-wise. So I keep monitoring. I check on the streams. Dan, let us know if there's any ones that break in. You want to scroll by, but we'll keep moving on with the next structured question. I'll have Kaylin take this one. Kaylin, what would you tell people, these other innovators or entrepreneurs or would-be founders, what would you tell them when they're considering hustle?
Definitely submit your application. Feel free to reach out, ask questions beforehand or even during. I can't remember off the top of my head the questions I had, but I know there were things around how often do we have to, come out here, and those kinds of things, because I have a young family and whatnot. So it was good to kind of get that feedback early on, and they were always willing to respond. They were always willing to get on a Zoom call if needed and those kinds of things. And, attending events like this for sure help you to figure out, are you ready for this kind of commitment? What phase of the program you're interested in applying to and those kinds of things.
Thank you. Greg, I'm going to have one for you, and then I'm going to kick to our audience question I see popping in. Greg, I know we talked about generally the rewarding aspects of hustle earlier. All the panelists took a crack at it. But if you had to narrow down to like a single moment or a single best thing or single theme, what would be that best key item that you were taking away from your participation? the check. No, I'm just kidding.
That sure didn't hurt
Yeah,
any.
yeah, absolutely.
The biggest thing, I was amazed because I came from your traditional corporate America where it's dog eat dog, and a lot of it was, if I can undermine you, I do just because I can. The idea of people just going out of their way to help one another. I mean, all the guys here have all along, and all the other 12 groups, almost all of us, had input to one another, trying to help one another be better. And that doesn't happen. And it's neat because then I've been involved with a lot of your network now, and we've developed around here. And it's not just this group. It's a healthy part of growing upstate New York, central New York. They're putting the effort in and trying to make this successful, to make it a great area again.
Well said. Thank you. I don't know if our audience would get this right out of the gate, but we have a really amazing set of founders here who come from different facets of community, and by that I mean geographically. We have some founders who live here, like in Rome proper, and would be considering, within miles of the Innovari Center. We've had one founder move his young family from out of state into our adjacent communities. We've had longtime founders who've done a lot of engagement in the upstate New York innovation ecosystem. Herbert's company is taking advantage of other accelerators and other economic development programs to your advantage. So this question is interesting as it comes in from Catherine from Scranton. Catherine Waters, thank you. What is it like sort of then being on site in the summer experience? Some of you were like, I couldn't find Rome unless I Googled Maps it. Some of you knew it as like, the center that you drive by every couple of weeks, right? So what's that on summer experience when you're coming here and you're on site, thinking about Hustle and your participation, but also all the other things that might be going on at the site during the summer? Anything you could drive home for Catherine about your summer experience? First round robin. All right, Herbert, go for it.
So first of all, this was actually my second summer experience here at
Nice.
Griffiths. The first one was Woodstock '99.
Okay, very good.
I got to be
Hopefully
honest.
we made up a
yes,
little bit.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's definitely a very different experience this time around. But what's incredible? It's this beautiful country here. I mean, it really is beautiful, and it's at the foothills of the Adirondacks. And I'm a huge outdoors fan.
Nice.
So not only do we have the connections to technical resources that my company needs and the people, right? But you also have access to some incredible outdoor activities that you just don't find anywhere else in the United States.
Yeah, well said, well said. Yeah, it is a wonderful natural environment. We have 4 seasons, and summer's probably one of the best ones to get here and experience what Upstate has to offer. Any others want to talk about, to Catherine's point, about what it's like being here on the summer, being on site? Avi?
Yeah, so I would say I've been in and around the thruway quite a lot, and
Yeah,
definitely
true. Tell us your story, yeah.
don't mind the summer. I would say I've been in, like, from all the way from Albany to Buffalo, but spending time, there are 2 aspects to it. One, as Albert mentioned, the outdoors, the experience, and actually me and my co-founders, we took a lot of trips after our events and just to relax and cool off. There's so much to do in and around 1 hour drive, I would say. But also, what I realized with this program is how important it is to be here as in person, because the defense industry, and we were just discussing this offline, that the defense industry requires that you know people trust you, right? And that doesn't happen if you are not, this could be done online as well, right? But the choice of doing this offline, having this kind of relationship between the founders, between the Hustle, the Griffiths people and the AFRL folks, I think so wouldn't have happened if this was not in person.
Right.
And the whole Griffiths Institute, how it is architected, right, it allows for these kind of cross collaborations to happen. I think so there are a lot of summer programs also running during that time, so which helps, if you're looking for, let's say, a talent or a recruitment also, it could be very much possible. So I think so it's a very thriving ecosystem in the summer. It's a little bit quieter during this time of the year, but I don't mind it, to be honest.
Yeah, very well said. Any others talk about the summer experience? Yeah, Kevin. That's all right. Oh, look at that, passing mic. Oh, you guys are so cooperative.
So for me,
So I basically lived in the building all summer. On the off days as well, I showed up here because I realized pretty early on that if I hung out in the hallway in the what they call the hive, you never know who you're going to run into. Especially the folks that work here at the GI, they have a lot of insights that can help you, especially if you're a young company, or I'm pretty sure they could help you at any stage. There are folks that used to work at the Air Force or different branches of the military or DoD. There are folks who've had startups. There are folks who just have, run businesses at the executive level, and you can talk to them. You can ask them for advice, ask them questions. So definitely on the professional side, it's worth being here physically. On the personal side, I definitely resonate with Herb about the nature. I didn't live too far from like some of the national parks and stuff, but I didn't really take advantage of that where I was before. And being stuck here for the summer kind of forced me to really take advantage of that when I needed some downtime and some time to get outdoors. The Mohawk River is pretty much everywhere you turn. There are lakes everywhere. There's just a lot to see here and a lot to experience. So it's definitely worth being here, even on a personal side. Yeah,
And it's affordable.
yeah, definitely.
It's true. It's very true.
In addition, if you bring your family up here also, I'm going to put a plug in here at Griffiths Institute. All summer long, they have different summer camps for the kids for robotics, cyber events, and everything else like that. So there's things that your whole family can participate right here in Rome.
Yeah, well said. I'll just highlight a couple of points because it is a bit of a hidden gem and not often known. The Adirondack National Park is one of the country's largest wildlife preserves and nature centers outside of Alaska. In fact, Yosemite and Yellowstone can fit inside of the Adirondack Park and have more room than you would imagine. This is just 20 miles to our north. It is a massive forest, hiking, fishing, biking, mountain biking, all those sorts of things.
Waterfalls.
Yeah,
Water
exactly.
safari
Water
also.
safari, of course, fantastic. Got to get on that slide. But what is also pretty amazing about it is even all of upstate, there are waterfalls, there's lots of natural parks, there's even on this campus, right, the Griffiths Tech Park, there's a art park with some 40 statues you can walk through and meander over a 2-mile course. You could play a
Disc
professional
golf.
disc golf course. I mean, that's ridiculously cool, right? See historically preserved B-52 bombers. All the sort of military legacy is here as well. So it's a nice, approachable city. That's Rome, at about 25,000 people. Utica's to our south, and Syracuse just off to our west. And it's a great place to sort of emerge and sink in. And so thank you, Catherine, for your question, and thank you for answering, gents, about your summer experience. I want to dive in just a little bit because it came up in some of the comments. We've heard SBIR 2s and SBIRs. We've heard, I know Abhishek is working on signing some business agreements with other defense companies. What did Hustle do for your orientation to the defense industry, right? If you want to name a specific program or an opportunity that's very much programmatic in defense, or if you want to speak more generally, what I want to know is, did you actually come and learn defense?
I can
Go ahead,
start.
please, Abby.
I think so. A lot of the conversation that we had with the folks here, especially Dan, never heard of these terms before. I will be honest. I've not been in the defense industry. I've been more so in the aerospace at best, the closest I've come to. So learning of how these things work, just simple, like what does SBIR mean? What does STTR mean? What does direct to phase 2 mean? OTAs, I think so there was a great session during our time here, which really acclimatized us with more opportunities than we knew of. And then especially what was helpful for us, that during the program we got to understand of how we can interact more with like Air Force Research Lab in general, and from there we got the opportunity to learn about CRADA, and we were able to by the end of the program we were able to sign one CRADA, which I think so adds a lot of value for us, as I mentioned earlier, puts us in the right place. But what to do with it is also yet another stream of information, which I think so even post Hustle we have been able to interact with all of the staff here and learn that how can we leverage that. And the cohort helped us to get the basics right. So there was a lot of learning, I would say, even though we were coming as a mature, like a pre-seed to a seed stage company with all the business models and everything intact. But then you're unlocking this new market which has huge potential, but it is, as they call it, and I've been reading a lot, a valley of death that sits.
Sure.
How do you first get to that, and then how do you process? I think
Cross
so that
it,
was
yeah.
the learning, that everybody here speaks the same language, so there was a lot of learning for us.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's a knowledge share, and we kind of blitz that into you, but then that applied knowledge, as you stay for your virtual incubation over the next year, is where you can start to unpack what those mean and see the real implication. Oh, now I get it. I'm applying for an OTA, another transaction authority. Oh, that's what they meant when they said like program of record or program manager, right? So those sort of, yeah, we thank you for those comments. We definitely like to think of the intense experience, but then also look at the next 10 months that you have where we can then continue to apply those learnings.
Yes, so if I could add, so any startup, and I think everyone on this panel can agree that when you're selling to the government, it's like selling to a foreign country with a foreign language. I mean, literally, everything is an acronym, right? And everything has its own program office, and you have to know who to sell and how and the way in, because there is ways that they buy your technology or your offering or service, whatever. And without understanding how that country and how that culture and how the language operates, you're going to be an outsider and you're going to bang your head against the wall for a very long time. So I think what Hustle really offered all of us here is a way to decode all that culture, right? To understand the most efficient, effective ways to sell into the government.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the Defense Department, the U.S. federal government, arguably one of the most lucrative, largest customers in the world. Does it function like one customer? Not even close, right? You got different branches of the military, different divisions, different programs, different funding sources, different intentions. So yeah, well said, Herbert. I appreciate that. Thanks for the comments. We hope it helped. Any others want to talk a little bit about the defense orientation?
Yeah, well, when we first talked, it was actually at the Coffee and Concepts, and my idea was a truly wireless thermostat. And you asked me, and I said, so it doesn't fit in the program. And you made a comment as you don't think they have heat in any of the government buildings. And my immediate response was, none of them that I was stationed in. All right.
Apparently no air either.
So, no, none of the buildings ever had air conditioning. Wouldn't know what that was. And but the thing is also with the help of their supporting staff here, they started going, well, is there any other application? Is there another way you can implement it? And with somebody here that kind of kicked me in the rear, all of a sudden get thinking it's really what I'm doing is a long-range wireless communication system. And especially with my background, I can stick any sensor imaginable on the end of it, do the analysis, and transmit it securely. And that would have never come about if it weren't for this program.
Yeah, well said.
So even other than the opportunities, it also pushes you to open your eyes about what you can do also.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Great perspective. We have another interesting question coming across the wire. This is from one Mr. Stephen Wood. For those of you who don't know, Stephen was in our inaugural cohort, our first year of running this. And he asked, is Hustle considering about offering more than the one cohort per year or more than the two-track edition model? So I'll inform Steve, but I want to get your opinion. And you guys can tell me yay or nay. This is a little risky, going off script. But yes, Hustle realizes that we are best when we know what we can do, which is early stage defense technology acceleration. We won't blend from that core. But I think if you think about it, coming here for an entire summer in 8 to 12 week blocks, that's not accessible for everyone. We have engineers, or like most of your career, who might be working in a defense industrial base who have that idea for spinning something out. Maybe for them there's a nights and weekends version, right? That might last longer, but gives them a chance to continue to hold down a full-time job that might be very well related, part of their expertise for their industry launch. We've also thought about winter intersession ones, maybe a professor or grad student oriented one. We can blitz it hard for a week before Christmas and then come back before school begins in mid-January and sort of have a condensed input. We've also thought about, why not the fall? The fall is fine too. Why not the spring, right? There's different times of year that might allow this program to be accessed by more types of entrepreneurs. So yay, nay, any one of those sound good, better? Any thoughts you all have on the format, right? Because you all did, you lived through it, and you made some sacrifices to be in that intense block. What is your thoughts on opening up different formats? Would you encourage us to do that? And do you have any ideas on those formats?
I'm happy to go first.
Thanks, please.
So my co-founder and I, Derek Leclerc, we split our time
Yep.
being here, right? Just because we have little ones at
Yeah.
home, and it's really hard to be away from home and still run a startup and the demands of a startup.
Agreed.
So we were able to split time and be physically here, but I do like the fact that you guys are considering a different format. I guess I'll give a shameless plug to my alma mater, Cornell. I went through the executive MBA program, and they have multiple, residentials that you go to for 10 to 14 days.
Yep.
Right. So you're there as
Seminar
a cohort,
style or-
and it's
yeah.
hardcore. You're waking up way early and you're going to bed way late. And if you're young, you're going to bed even later. I wasn't part of that cohort, but with that being said, it worked well because the interim was virtual, and it really made for, I think, a better learning experience across the board, and more people could participate because it fit into their work schedules.
Yeah, makes sense. Great example, like executive education kind of courses.
Yeah.
Others?
I can add. So I think so. The cohesiveness of the program, like keeping it small, and where there's enough interaction between the folks at the GI, the program people, and the entrepreneurs themselves. I think so. The format is very good, but also I think so. If it can be done more. So as you mentioned, fall and the spring, because I've had interacted with a lot of companies after that, which I think so could also benefit, but that summer is where you actually sell. Not
Yeah.
necessarily that's
Yeah,
the
sure.
selling time.
Yeah.
So I think so. In that way, it is good. For example, my co-founder also came from the UK and spent the whole summer actually, and he had an interesting experience of the US and looking at the other side of the things. But it was possible because it was summer. I think so. If it was not, it would have been a little bit
Sure.
challenging for us. So this cohort type really works out. But having other possibilities of other time of the year where other companies can come in, I think so does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of, yeah. I think though what I heard is, and even as you're experiencing those long days, that there's the camaraderie, the face-to-face. We like to think of it as a contact sport, but maybe we offer different types of game times for those sports to occur. Other thoughts on the formats?
I'll jump in. So I think in terms of the timing of the summer program, it's actually pretty ideal already, just because there's a decent gap between cyber applications. It's a good time to be here and get to know people.
Yeah.
Herb is laughing.
Timing your life around cyber applications. You're my hero.
Jumped in now.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, right.
But
You're hardcore.
But outside of that, it's a good time to kind of get to know people here in the lab, because people are more willing to walk
Sure.
around and shake hands and meet people. But there is some some merit to having other programs similar to this that can be done in other times of the year. Like Herb said, when people have other scheduled things going on, or as you even said, Seth, that someone might be still in their job, still trying to figure out if their idea is worth spinning out. So there are ways that can go with that, and maybe specialize cohorts that are geared towards those groups that you mentioned. I think
True.
that,
Yeah, you could
very
also
beneficial.
think about a technology vertical alignment or something, yeah.
If Seth, I just
Please.
want to quickly add one point there. I think so. What would be from a retrospective that this is a great program, but what could be one notch better is also interacting with some of the people from the defense itself and their
Yeah.
experiences. I think
Sure.
so. From being the other side of the table, right? I think so. Having that kind of interaction with other offices, in
Yeah.
addition to what I think
Meet
so
more
would be-
procurement officers, things like that.
Residential in Washington.
Oh, that'd be kinda
I mean,
cool.
actually
down
on
in
site.
DC,
Yeah.
Look at this, guys. Great question, Stephen. I just want to finer point there. The additional, other than the 2 tracks, yeah. I think the idea of government business 101 and a half-day workshop, or a lot of what we do is we kind of lean on partners like the SBA Small Business Development Centers, or our own small business office, a gentleman like Mike Granero and Denise Lee, and the events they run, or the Apex Accelerator. So I think it's
Which
more.
are awesome.
Yeah,
Apex
they are.
is incredible.
So the idea of even these smaller formats, if you're thinking about it, or a more discrete need that lasts a day or two kind of events, We may not run them, but maybe we need to do a better job of stitching glue together, making more available. And then stay tuned on the Beyond the 2 tracks. We definitely have some ideas on the next stage as companies need more working capital and more acceleration, or as they start to approach investors and additional hiring. Right? That's another wave that a lot of you are already feeling, but will continue to feel as you grow. So, you know, we think we have some solutions there, and they're in the works. Yeah, maybe we can even have some of our alums here, and like you, Stephen, back for those later stage cohorts.
One of the other things
Please.
we're also working with the Griffiths is a way to bring interns in on a more economical basis for small businesses.
Oh yes, great. Oh, Greg, you're amazing at this. Thank you. You should take my job next time. Greg, you bring up a great point. So Griffiths is alive in the summer, and a lot of that is interns. We have a mature ability to bring programs for the government, hire their interns, help them, assign them, get them placed, get them selected, get them fed, get them compensated, etc. We're looking at ways of borrowing that capability out to our Hustle cohort, placing fellows, maybe a CTO co-founder style person for a year could be placed as a fellow in your team. Maybe you simply, you know, don't want to deal with the payroll and the spin up and the startup of a seasonal employee, right? Greg's shaking his head.
The
Then we're
cost of
we're-
doing
yeah,
that.
exactly. We have that scalability already there, and so essentially we could think of quick and easy, you know, sort of staff leasing arrangements. So thank you. Yeah, I think other ways it'll expand is also in literally direct services, like applying talent to your companies. We are about at the end of time. Just checking if there's any final online questions. I think we're in a good spot. With that, I'm going to end on something pretty quick. I need you guys to give me a 1 through 10 scale rating, right? On, like, this is like customer net promoter. You know, how likely would you be to recommend this program, or did it meet your expectations? Another way you want to look at it. On a scale of 1 to 10. Now, you know, you're probably going to feel canned or whatever, but please be honest, because we want everyone to realize what it's like. And I think at every accelerator, you're going to learn a lot of things, and there's going to be a lot of things you also wish you did. You know, so 1 to 10 net promoter score. What do you think?
I'm going to give it a solid 8.
Nice.
And the reason being is I know it's still a younger program,
Yeah.
but you guys are iterating very quickly, and I'm excited for the next cohort because they're going to learn a lot from the feedback that we gave in this cohort and the cohort right ahead of us, and I think it's going to be the best cohort yet, and I'm sure it's going to be better. And I would give it a 10 if we had an exit as soon as we graduated.
Yeah, right on.
We
I'll
didn't
work
have
on
that
that
exit,
next
so
time.
I'm sorry I couldn't give you a 10. So.
I'll try that. Well said. Others? Last chance, 1 through 10 on your expectations net promoter score?
I would give 9.
9?
And
Thank you.
like I said, I've already been able to recommend some of the other companies, especially with the mindset of who want to sell to the U.S. defense and might not be in the U.S. right now and want to explore this opportunity. I think so. Great program for getting, as you mentioned, 101 of selling to the defense. So 9, I would say there.
All right, very good. Excellent. Other thoughts?
So I'll definitely give it a 10 because one of the great things about the folks that run this program is that they're willing to listen to feedback and they apply it near immediately as fast as legal paperwork can permit.
Yes.
But yeah, no, and I'm speaking from experience. Literally from leaving the program in August, like literally September, they started working on things that I was asking about or things that we, gave as feedback about what the next program should look like. And, even taking suggestions about, alumni engagement and those kinds of things. So I definitely think that, along with what Herb is saying, that, there is potential for growth, but I also see the growth taking place in the short span of 6 months since we finished our cohort, that, things are already happening to make your cohort better. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when I started this, I didn't even have a DBA. I had an idea, and now we're all the way to an LLC, being a part of a government SBIR level 2 even. And none of this would have happened without Hustle. Now, yeah, I would agree with Herb on an 8 because there's always room for improvement.
Absolutely.
And it's neat because often I've already been reached out as how can we do this better? How can we do that better? And I ask them the same thing back. How can I do these things better? And so it's definitely worth the time and effort to be put into it. Although I don't know how many people you're going to get from coming out of state down south to upstate New York
Yeah, you know.
in January and February, where the average snowfall is 14
It's
feet.
true. This is true. Any of those Florida founders who've never seen snow, come on up. Hustle also brings snow. It's this unlisted bullet of advantages. Yes.
I will say that it was actually a decent winter from my first one here.
You know,
so.
you did all right. Yeah.
The wimpiest one on record.
Okay, we're getting very close to time. I'm looking at some of our producers here. I think what I'd like to do is leave it to some of the sort of the lasting words, a little bit of wisdom, if you could. And I'll finish my time speaking. I'll let this ride out with you gentlemen. But if you could summarize, in a sentence or two, sort of any words of wisdom or recommendation, or how an entrepreneur is considering applying could take advantage of the program. Guide us with your parting thoughts.
So,
Kick it around. Go ahead.
I can say I've been talking to and interacting with a lot of the like folks who are interested to sell to the defense and defense tech and getting more hotter in the space. I think so. If you have anything which is close to that you could have the dual use application and you are thinking of getting started, I think so. Spending time here, just even before, I think so. Seth, we interacted before the hustle and then you recommended, but just having this interaction with folks like GI in general would be very helpful, and I think so that led us to applying for hustle and then the relationship after. So there's a huge potential, I would say, right now going into the defense tech.
Excellent. Other parting words of wisdom? Anything you want to advise others? Go ahead.
So
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So, I if anyone out there in cyber world is considering or trying to or even doing work with the federal government, especially the Department of Defense, this is a no-brainer. I mean, there is no other hustles in the United States that is focusing on this thing, and there's no other team that the team is here at Griffiths Institute, as well as partnership with the Air Force Research Lab. Like, it's legit. I mean, they're right there, right? So, I mean, you have access to that, and there is no other program like this anywhere, right? So, it's if you're on the fence, like, I don't know if I'm going to make the time. Like, none of us had the time to be here. None of us did, right? Mm-hmm. And we all made the time because it was that important, and we made it a priority. And we're all here because it works, right? And we saw a lot of value from making that time and making hustle a priority. So definitely, if you're on the fence, don't be. Just do it. I'm sure you can contact any one of us, including me, if you have questions from the a founder and entrepreneur's perspective. Happy to talk to you, really, and give you the boots on the ground perspective.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that. Any others?
I'll just say that don't be afraid to ask, not just the people running the program, but also your cohort members, because you never know who they might know or what they might be able to give as insight or guidance. Dan gets really itchy if he doesn't have things to do, so make him work all summer long. And
true story.
Right. True
Keep
story.
him busy.
And that's pretty much it for me.
Excellent.
One of the biggest things is don't hold yourself back.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't think I'd have anything to do with the military or DOD, and it's amazing. Reach out and ask people from a different point of view, from a different perspective. It's unfortunately we tend to limit ourselves more than our opportunities.
Yeah, well said. Thank you all. I appreciate it. It's really good to see you again, and appreciate your wisdom you shared with our teams. We will have our website up. This stream will be available for rebroadcast, etc. We encourage anyone to reach out. We can connect you to any of the panelists. You heard a lot of names. John Liddy, Dan Fayette, some of our other program folks. We've just onboarded a new staffer in Hannah Reese that's going to help with incubation. There's a lot of amazing things that we can connect you to. Just reach out. And there's easy ways to get to us and to get to this awesome network of alumni. In parting thoughts, I also wanted to just add that we will tell you and show you and expose you to the challenges and the benefits of defense seed stage work. One of the amazing things I think is a lot of these folks may not have realized if they knew they were going into defense, or if maybe they would in 5 years, or maybe their product was best for the commercial space. If you have that inkling, sometimes identifying the opportunities, but also possibly knowing that that's not the market I'm going to go to next, we can help you with that too. I think it's all about the timing of your limited resources, your limited passions, and finding the best way you can apply them to have business success and to have, change the world with your technology. And we can make sure you'll turn every stone if it works for Air Force and defense sector. We can also help you understand where you might want to start in a dual use market, prove your grounds, and then come into the procurement of the defense cycle. So that on the fence really resonated with me, and we're happy to help be that coach and that guide during that time. Again, Abhishek, Greg, Kaylin, Herbert, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations again. I feel like I'm having flashbacks of popping, the big flash of bulbs and the cameras and the big checks, and it's great to see you all again. And thanks to everyone here, to our wonderful production team and marketing teams. This has been another great event brought to you by the Griffith Institute. So long from Rome, New York. Have a great day. We're signing off. Bye now. Good work, guys.